Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Udon. I'm your host for today's town hall. The goal of today's town hall is to give some clarification to the community on what it is that our region has to offer youth that could really help to reduce the social and educational impacts of COVID-19. We want to give some tips on the town hall today. And some of the things that we want to provide you with is that this town hall is being recorded. Closed captioning is available at the bottom of the screen. You can adjust the text size to small, medium, or large. The audio and video functions for attendees are not available. Please use the chat function or the Q&A box to ask a question or make a comment. We will not address client-specific questions. Please do not enter personal identifiable information or reveal details of a particular case in the chat or Q&A. This is to protect your privacy. Any questions not answered during the event will be included on a landing page at employnm.com within 72 hours from this town hall. If you're having difficulty joining the town hall, please email us at contact-us@employnm.com. Let's get ready to learn. So it's my privilege to introduce our panelists today. Marcos Pena, our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Program Manager. We also have Rebecca Cisneros, our WIOA Youth Engagement Coordinator, and Jeff Waugh, a career specialist with the Las Cruces Public Schools. Some of the things that we're going to ask you to do is to engage with us with some polls. So periodically throughout the town hall today, we'll issue a poll for you to give us some feedback, and then we'll go ahead and publish those results. So our first poll is, how familiar are you with Why I Work website? This is a website at the Department of Workforce Solutions. So we're going to launch that poll and ask you to go ahead and answer the questions. Okay, we got a couple more people. We're about 84% done. Just a couple more people to be able to answer. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end our poll right there and share the results. So how familiar are you with the Why I Work website? 17% have responded that they've never heard of it. 17% responded heard of it, but never used it. And 67% say, I have used it. Okay, great. So we'll be giving you a couple more polls throughout the town hall today to be able to give us some feedback and share those results with you. Okay, Marcos Pena enjoys serving the community by solving conflicts and providing guidance for those in need. Mr. Pena grew up on the border of Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and El Paso, Texas, where he was able to recognize and understand that each individual in this community is unique in many ways. He is a big believer that everyone deserves a second chance in their lives. If Plan A does not work, we have to remember that the alphabet has 26 letters. Mr. Pena is a licensed master social worker in the state of New Mexico and Texas, and he is licensed as a substance abuse associate counselor in the state of New Mexico. Mr. Pena is currently the program manager for the Southwestern Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Youth Program. So with that, Mr. Pena, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcos Peña, and I'm the WIOA Youth Program Manager for the Southwestern region. And I actually will be providing some information about our services and give you an explanation of what also additional things that we can provide. So let me start off by saying, what's the WIOA Youth Services? Under Title I of Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014, the WIOA Youth Services delivers a comprehensive array of youth services focusing on assisting out-of-school and in-school youth with one or more barriers to employment to prepare for post-secondary education and employment opportunities. Also, attain educational and or skills training credentials to have more employment opportunities and promotional opportunities as well. Who qualifies for the WIOA Youth Services? So for WIOA Youth Services, out-of-school youth ages 16 to 24, one of the barriers is not attending school, a dropout. And one of the more following criteria, a dropout youth within the age compulsive school attendance, but has not attended majority of the year to complete a high school calendar year, a recipient of a high school diploma or equivalency, who is a low-income individual or either has a deficiency or it's a language learner, an offender, a homeless individual, child or youth, or even a runaway, an individual who's in foster care or who's aged out of foster care system and is left on the foster care kidship, guardianship, or adoption, an individual who is pregnant or parenting, an individual with a disability, and also an individual with a low income who requires additional assistance to enter or complete a program to secure or hold employment. So 14 good elements of WIOA. It's being provided directly or indirectly through partnerships. Some of the elements that we offer for out-of-school youth age 16 to 24, it will be tutoring, studying skills training, instruction, and dropout prevention. Alternative secondary school services or dropout recovery services, paid and unpaid work experience, pre-apprenticeships, internships, or on-the-job trainings, occupational skills training, educational offer currently with workforce preparations, activities, and trainings, leadership development within the community, supportive services, transportation, childcare, medical, and more, adult mentoring, follow-up services, comprehensive guidance and counseling, financial literacy education, entrepreneurship skills, and labor market and employment information. We also provide post-secondary education and training transition services. In addition to the WIOA Youth elements, the WIOA Youth services include individualized assessment, so it's actually human-centered design, case management, positive youth development framework model, family support and engagement, and navigation to the community resources. So in order, some of the documentation that is needed to participate in the program, it's a social security card, state ID or driver's license, birth certificate, proof of income, selected services for male age 18 and up, and school withdrawal form for out-of-school youth.
Thank you, Marcos. Our next panelist is Rebecca Cisneros. She is the Youth Engagement Coordinator for the Department of Workforce Solutions. She has the privilege of working with community leaders and young people to create, distribute, and enhance career readiness tools and resources statewide. Rebecca?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. My name is Rebecca Cisneros. I'm with the Department of Workforce Solutions, and I'm just going to go over some of the tools that we have within the Department of Workforce. So again, what we do is we like to create and distribute career readiness tools to make sure that the young people are able to create realistic pathways to success. We hope that our tools will help young people understand themselves a little bit better, what their interests are, the world of work, and their ability to tie their interests to their long-term careers, again, while creating achievable goals. Next slide. Some of the tools that I'm going to go over are WIOA Work, which I was so excited to see that 67% of you have already used it. For that 17% that haven't, let me just give you a little overview. It is a budgeting tool. You will be able to design the life that you'd like to live. based on your needs here in New Mexico. You'll go through a series of slides that'll ask you, where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a house, in an apartment? Are you going to get cable? Are you going to get the utilities that you need? How are you going to get where you need to go? Are you going to use public transportation, get a car? It asks you some of these basic questions that you go through. At the end, it's going to tell you your results and tell you what your monthly costs are going to be and how much you would need to earn annually to live that life that you've designed for yourself. With that information, we'll steer you into the next thing that's listed, Career Solutions. Career Solutions has a lot of things going on in there, but what I'd like to touch on is once you know how much you need to earn from WIOA work, it'll outline, I'm going to use an accountant as an example. It'll outline a job such as an accountant and tell you on average, how much does an accountant get paid? Does that line up with the amount that you got in WIOA work? It's going to tell you how much education is required to become an accountant, how many jobs are currently available in accounting, and over the next several years, how many jobs will be available in accounting. So if you are planning on going to school for an accounting degree, is it going to make sense? Are the jobs going to be there once you graduate? And this is just another way to make sure that your long-term planning can be super successful and you can achieve those goals that you set for yourself. In addition to that, you can also do work and value assessments. So if you're not sure what you want to do, some of these assessments will help you make those decisions. What goes with my personality and the things that I'm interested in? You can learn how to gain work experience. You can do resume building and work on your interview skills as well within this site. You do not have to have an account. You can browse this without registering for an account. However, we encourage you to create one because it gives you what we call a dashboard where you can save information and go back and revisit. The last site I'm going to talk about is our apprenticeship site. If you're not familiar with what an apprenticeship is, this is what we call an earn and learn situation. So if you would like to start working immediately, but you also want to work on your credentials, you can enter something like an apprenticeship program where you will work and learn alongside each other for exactly what you're doing in the workforce. Those are excellent opportunities. My favorite part about all three of these websites is they're all very specific to New Mexico. They're going to go based off of our cost of living, our wages, and the programs available here in our state. Next slide. With these tools, they're a lot. So we do have some support systems for them. On Career Solutions, if you scroll down to the very bottom, there is a slide, there's a little box that's listed as parents, educators, and guardians. That's going to let us know, as we support young people, what is our role? How can we make sure that we are helping and supporting in the best ways? So it's an excellent tool to visit. We also, in partnership with the Public Education Department, created a facilitator's guide for Career Solutions. This guide breaks out our site into 8 sessions. So you'll have worksheets and tools to work with students directly. If you want to take it into your classroom, you can use it the way it is, or you can kind of change it up to fit your needs. And lastly, if you visit the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions website, you go under Job Seeker, you'll see a tab that says Explore Career Options, and there's many more tools that you can visit. I'm available to anybody who would like to learn how to utilize these tools a little bit better, how to provide them to a larger group. So my email is available and you can use that. Next slide. I love this slide. As we are young people entering the workforce for the first time, it is so important to know your rights as an employee. So we have a training in partnership with our labor law team that we will provide, again, to young people, educators, and businesses to make sure that our young people understand work permits. Who needs one? Where do you get one? The conditions of employment, that covers, do I need to wear a uniform? How do I call in for work? What are they expecting from me? Minimum wage, it varies depending on the community that you live in. Your deductions from your paycheck. I didn't learn about what was being deducted from my paychecks till I was in my late 20s because I never asked. Payday, when do they expect to get paid? Hours of limitations. It's very tricky when you're working under the age of 17. There are some restrictions and we want to make sure our young people know and our business partners know. Are breaks and lunches required? Prohibited and hazardous occupations. Again, under the age of 18, there's some jobs and roles that our young people cannot do. And then children in the entertainment industry. Netflix is here and it's popping. So we want to make sure that any of these young people that have the opportunity to work in film know their rights as they work in the film industry. And age restrictions vary when it comes to film. So this is another excellent presentation that we have available for any community member that's interested. And I think that's all I got for you guys.
Hey, Rebecca. Hey, thanks a bunch. One of the things that we want to do is ask you a poll question here in a minute. But before we do that, just as a reminder, please post your questions in the chat box, and in a few moments, we'll be going through those to be able to respond to them. We also want to let you know that this recording will be on employnm.com, to where you can review it and share it with others. So with that, I want to introduce Jeff Waugh, who is a career specialist with the Las Cruces Public Schools. He began his teaching career as a computer science teacher and career and technical department head at Oñate High School, where he taught for over 20 years. Mr. Waugh initiated the computer science pathway at Oñate High School. In 2017, he began working with the Las Cruces Public Schools career team. The job duties have evolved into expanding work-based learning opportunities and developing and strengthening career and technical education pathways within each of the high schools and now middle schools. Mr. Waugh believes it is essential to bridge the information gap between the workforce and our schools. Mr. Waugh?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone, today for joining us for this town hall. My name is Jeff Waugh, and I do work for Las Cruces Public Schools, and I have worked for over 20 years with the youth of Las Cruces. Over that time, we've seen the change in what our students need, and especially during this time of COVID, now it's even more important that we offer these services and find a place where we can all come and learn and be safe at the same time. So I think that's what we're working on on the side right now. But our main job is, as a career team, is to find early exploration of careers for students. So right now, the team, and some of them are on with me in the background right now, what we're doing is working with middle schools to solidify our courses and give them more of an exploration, so then kids understand the variety of careers that are available to them. We often find that kids in the 4th and 5th grade are when they start thinking about careers and what that looks like and getting that little fire going. And what we want to do is build that fire and get them on a pathway, so then they're not just taking classes that don't lead to a certification or to their career. We use aptitude tests and a lot of what Mrs. Nettles just talked about on the Why I Work website. We go through that with students, and we understand that what their needs are, and what their needs and what their expectations are two different things. We do push them to high wage, high demand jobs, but I also want them to find something that weaves their passion. And sometimes those are a little harder to find. So we'll spend a lot of time working with students trying to figure out career pathways. We work with our instructors a lot on building up their pathways. That's another side of our job. So we'll go into the high schools or the middle schools, and we'll talk to instructors and try to figure out what's best for the students. Oftentimes our teachers are teaching from passion, and what we need to do is get industry in there to explain to them that what they're teaching is right and validate it, so then it makes sense, and then everybody's happy from there. One of our team members oversees all our co-curricular activities. Those are what we call CTSOs. And those are career technical service organizations. Those are national organizations, and you've probably heard of some of them: FFA, HOSA, FCCLA. We have an Educators Rising, and they all pertain to a different particular sector. Although we do have Skills USA, which encompasses a whole large group of sectors that we can work with. These opportunities give students to take hands-on classes where they would be able to actually work with some of the equipment that they would see in the field. A lot of times in our classes, we are limited in what we can show students. So those CTSOs are very vital to our programs. Another one that we like to do is have every student graduate with a resume. Okay, and I know that the Department of Labor came in last year and added in the mock interview, and that's perfect. That's exactly what our students need. They need a resume, they need to do some mock interview practice, and they need to work on their communication skills. So that's a lot of what we're offering within our program. So within the career team, we also have what we call our ACE program, formerly called Excel, and that's where we put kids in internships. So kids go out and they work in internships for the morning or for the afternoon. They learn what that career looks like, and if that's something they really want to be interested in, And then we also try to team them up with a dual credit class to get them going on their way, whatever that looks like. Let me think, the next one, can we go to the next slide? We focus mostly on youth, and what we're trying to do now is trying to get everyone to come together. So one of our goals now is to get a workforce partner within each high school to work directly with our counselors, our administrators, and our teachers. And then it becomes more important as parents come in, because a lot of times within our schools, a lot of the youth's problem is they're supporting their parents, or their parents have lost a job. A lot of their home life issues impact their school issues. And I think that that would bridge some of that gap that we're having if we had a workforce partner within our schools to help deal with some of that. We are working on that as we speak. We have 3 components to our program. We do our alignment with our industry partners. So we'll bring in our industry partners. I could give an example of the home builders. Will come in, meet with our building teachers, and discuss what's being taught in the class to validate it, so that we go, yes, that is exactly what we need in our community. That usually takes place in November and in March. It's a little different in COVID. But if you want to be a member of that, please just reach out to me and we can find a place for you to be involved. We also work with our teachers to find short cycle assessments and certifications that our industry's needs. So those short cycle assessments make sure that our kids are on track with those kind of things. Certifications are basic lifesaver or a welding certification. We are offering more of those, and our partnership with DACC has gotten stronger to the point where we are offering more certifications in our school. And as DACC is allowing us to add more classes within our high schools. One particular case I understand is if a student takes a pathway at Oñate High School and they take 2 plumbing classes at night, they can graduate as a plumber with an associate's degree before they graduate with their high school diploma. Those are the opportunities that we're looking for within our high schools. The last part of ours is including business and industry and services for families. We want to make sure everybody's able to come to the school and share their feelings and their knowledge, actually. So we encourage guest speakers. We do a lot with guest speakers. We do a lot in meeting with our principals so that they understand what's happening within their community. And that's a big thing with us. Right now, it talks about our consortia. So our consortia determines how we spend our money as a school. So instead of us saying we want this and that, what we need to do is we need to work with our community to determine what our needs are. And then our community says we need, one example is we're going to need a lot more medical students. So we're going back to our schools to build those pathways to strengthen our students as they come out. I believe on the last slide, we're talking about initiatives as we move forward. Oh, wow, we still have more. We're going to develop personal and ethics within our students. We're going to develop those soft skills that we're all looking for. They're called soft skills. To us, they're called professional skills. So those are the skills where a student shows up on time, has a great work ethic, is willing to learn, and can take constructive criticism and turn it into a positive and continue working. Those are the skills that we really work on within our program. It's a little different right now in COVID because we do a lot of Zooming. We do have about 15 kids out working with our classes in Zooms. So they're in could be pre-K classes working with developmentally delayed students. I know one in particular was working on sign language, teaching young kids sign language. And so we still have those. We still have about 15 kids working virtually at NMSU through their CI-TRAN program, which develops computer science students. So as we work on that, those are still happening. We are working on getting more. We have heard more from the community about willing to take our students. We're working on our COVID pieces right now to make sure that's sustainable. Our stats were the oldest running program in the state. It started at Freedom High in the 70s. We have over 200 employers that we work at and engage with. Some will take a student, some just come in and do some guest speaking engagements, and some also just work directly with our instructors. Whatever they want to be engaged in, we'll take it. We have an average of 160 to 200 students participate. This year we have dropped down lower because of COVID and because of graduation requirements as we move forward, but we do see it coming back. And we have assisted over 125 students in work experience. Our work experience program are those that aren't in the internship program, but are actually getting paid. And as long as it connects with something within their pathway, we give them experience and give them credit for that. that's been very helpful in helping some of our students, especially those that are taking care of their families during this COVID time. Now I know we're on our initiatives. So what our goal, and I kind of mentioned it, was to create what we're calling an ACE Connection Center within the school, a workforce partner within the school that can help us with resumes, help us deal with parents, help the families, the staff with little issues. I know that we have some EAs within our school that wanted to become teachers, so I was able to help them connect with our workforce partners, and they were able to become teachers. And I do know of actually 2 that have moved up to become teachers, and that's what we want, is to continue that movement up, not to be stagnant. We provide teacher and counselors with that mentorship, like we kind of talked about. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more within the school, but right now what I do is I directly place a workforce partner with a teacher to work on resumes with students, or to talk to a group of counselors about the resources that are available. We develop site-based youth and adult training services, and we want to continue our collaboration for youth and adult job fairs. We are doing some weekend career stuff. I know we have a Dress for Success event coming up, so we're gonna try to find the kids some outfits for our job fairs. We have a mock interview job fair that workforce has been great in helping us. Mrs. Snows has been awesome on that. And then we're going to do some tours of DACC, NMSU, the Spaceport, White Sands, and then Mr. Roscoe is going to help us get into Borderplex and get the kids some exposure to what careers are out there. I think that I know that's kind of a long thing that we do, but that kind of summarizes it.
Okay, well, thank you, Jeff. And thank you to all the panelists. We're going to get into the next phase of our town hall, which is the Q&A. And if you can use the chat function to be able to ask a question, you can also use the Q&A function as well. And we have a couple of folks behind the scenes that are going to be monitoring that and sharing your questions. But at this point, we want to go ahead and launch another poll out to you. So keep an eye out on your screen. And I'll read this to you on how familiar are you with the New Mexico Career Solutions Career Exploration Site? Have you never heard of it but never used it, or you've used it? So I'm going to launch this poll, and if you can give us your responses. Okay, we're about 50% done with the voting. 58%, 66, 75, 83. We're almost there. And we'll wait a few more seconds and close the poll. I want to thank you for engaging with us on the poll. And we'll go ahead and end the polling now and share the results. So question was, how familiar are you with the New Mexico Career Solutions Career Exploration Site? 9% indicated that they've never heard of it. 27% they've heard of it, but never used it. And 64% have used it. All right, great. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and move over to some questions that have come through, and we're going to get some help on getting those read. It's important that we do not address client-specific questions. Please do not enter personal, identifiable information or reveal details of a particular case in the chat or Q&A. This is to protect your privacy. Okay, Darlene?
All right, thank you. So it looks like the first question that we have is, what about people who need assistance with accessibility, maybe ASL interpreters?
We actually want to answer that question. So actually, we do work with participants that might have a disability, that might need accessibility services. We try to do what it's called an assessment, assign assessment to a participant to ensure that we're meeting their needs. Of course, each participant might be different, but we ensure that we try to provide the adequate services, and we try to work with them when it comes to accessibility services.
Perfect. Thank you. So the next one is, what if I dropped out but went back for my GED or high school equivalency, and now want to go to college? Can I use the WIOA youth program for tuition assistance?
Yes, actually, that's a really good question, because usually when it comes to about eligibility, a lot of the participants think that in order for you to be out of school, you need to be a dropout. You can either be a dropout, be taking a break, or actually a recent graduate. It doesn't really have to be high school. It can be a high school equivalency diploma, and you do qualify for the tuition assistance. Of course, it's in a case-by-case scenario, but we try to provide the most supportive services that we can in order to get you ready for the next post-secondary pathway that you might want to do.
Awesome. That's exciting. Okay, next one here is, what if I'm ready to drop out right now?
If I think that would be with us in the school. So I would think your first thing would be to go talk to your counselor and your administrator at the school to get some advice on what that looks like. There are other programs that are available, and we can start at the school. And once we've exhausted all the ones within your school, then we would turn you over to our workforce partner with WIOA, like Marcos. And then from there, those services we would hope would take over. What we want is not to have you drop out and then just leave. I think we want to make sure that you still have services available to you, even if you are going to drop out. But we can definitely figure something out.
Wonderful. Thank you. It looks like the next one is, what age does an individual no longer need a work permit to get a job?
I'm not sure, is that one me? Well, I will let you know, you only need a work permit if you are 14 and 15 years old. You do not need a work permit once you turn 16.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. And are we rolling another poll question, or did we already do that?
I think we already did that.
All right, I will move on. The next one here is, how long does it take to go from when one first enrolls in the WIOA youth program to start work experience?
It usually takes, once we get the first referral or contact information, within the following 3 days, we get a contact and assigned to a caseworker for that case. Once we completed the package of enrollment, that it might take 3 to 5 business days, we start working with the participants to ensure we're meeting their needs, and also to start developing the plan. Once the plan is complete, we start working and looking to see what are the available places that, of course, go through the career interest, to make sure we can place them with someone who's going to be related to the career of interest.
Thank you. The next one is, I am 16 and have a job already, but I want something better. Can someone help me get a better job that has to do with my career of choice? Jeff, maybe you can help us with that one.
So when we're looking at, ask me that question again. Sorry.
That's okay. I am 16 and I have a job already, but I want something better. Can someone help me get a better job that has to do with my career of choice?
Yes, so let's do this. Let's sit down, and what we need to do is contact one of us, again, your counselor or your administrator, and then call one of us in our workforce, and we can sit down and talk about what that looks like. What we want to do with your job is tie it in with your career, not just get a job. We want something that's going to be a stepping stone to the next one. So those are great questions to bring to your counselor, and that, how does that look like next step? Then one of the career specialists will come in. We'll sit down and talk about your options. We can also fill out kind of like what I work, but she also had the interest profiler within that career solution system, and go over what is your deep down thoughts and feelings. Because when we talk about careers, we look at 2 questions. We look, do you want to work inside or outside, or do you want to work with people or not with people? And once we start looking at those two questions, then we start weaving in to figure out what that really is. The other piece to that is weaving your passion and what pays the bills together. Okay, not just looking, and I know some people on here, I know we're high wage, high demand, I get that, but you got to be happy in what you're doing. So figuring that out, what pays the bills and what makes you happy at the same time, is a lot of what we'd sit down and do. And then we can also work with team up with workforce, bring them in, and then they could show us more of the opportunities within that field. You would have a more educated question to ask them when you get to that point.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, the next one is, what if I am not doing good in school, but I do need a job? Can someone help me keep my grades up so I can work?
Yes, actually, as part of the program, we do provide one of the elements, it's a mentorship and tutoring. We try to ensure that we're providing you with the proper additional training component that you might need. Of course, the main point of our program is not to interfere with school. If you're going to a work experience, we try to make sure we work around your school schedule, because we understand that school is important. And if we have a participant who needs the additional assistance, we try to work with them first and then ensure they getting their grades up, and then we can actually place them to a work experience who's not going to interfere with their education.
And I would piggyback on that and say that you need to go talk to your counselor and your principal, and let's come up with a plan. And then that is one resource, is Marcos, and that's a great resource. And there are other resources out there for tutoring, those kind of opportunities. One thing the school is going to be looking at moving forward is accelerated learning. How are we going to bridge this gap that we're going to have because of what's happening within the school? So whatever resources we have and we could reach out and tie those in together, that's great. So one program would be Marcos, and I would highly recommend tutoring, but we can work within the schools. There's got to be plenty of resources that we have that we can tie you into.
Wonderful. Okay, so the next one is, I have a student who wants a job but does not want to work fast food. Can workforce help with job placement for other types of work with a minor?
The answer is yes. One, fast food is a great entry-level job. However, not everybody wants to do it. So I'm kind of circling back to everything that's already been said, but what we will do is we're going to first try and do those assessments to see what they're interested in, what they'd like to do first, and see if it ties with their long-term goals. However, if an immediate job is necessary, we might be placing them in places like fast food or retail to meet that immediate need. But when they're enrolled in the program, there's always going to be long-term discussions going on to make sure that they excel into the career that they're interested in. But fast food is not the only option if you're trying to get an entry-level job.
Awesome, thank you. The next one is, my son is 14 and wants to play in sports, but is not doing good academically. Is there a program that can offer free tutoring?
Yes, for the WIOA Youth program, we do provide the mentorship and tutoring services. And also, as Jeff said, always meet with your counselor, principal, school to make sure we're meeting you 50% and being able to provide quality support to you. Because we don't want you to start to miss those activities that you can do in your free time just because of academics. And if we can provide additional support to bring those grades up, we're definitely going to be here to help.
And with that, I would also reach out to the coach and the teacher. I mean, communicate with them and let them know that you're having these issues. And oftentimes that coach can get some little extra practice for them that kind of motivates them and gets them going. So that communication with that coach or that teacher is important. So if you need to reach out, we can do that too.
All right, thank you. Let's see, we have one. Does the age group that can be served vary between all of these programs, or are they all 14 to 24?
I think that's a tricky one. I think with WIOA, it's pretty specific to the ages that they serve. However, the online tools are available for anybody. And then when Jeff is saying he wants those resources within the schools, that's to serve a family as a whole. So I will say that they do vary, but we're never going to turn somebody away if they don't meet the age requirements. We will then refer to other partner agencies that can assist.
Perfect, thank you.
We have a question in the chat box. The question is, what kind of a job can I get during COVID?
Usually depending, of course, of what we have available. Just because of the pandemic, a lot of places start closing down. And of course, some of them they start reducing other employees. But usually we work to try to work around, first of all, what's in your career interest. And then we have a list, and then we go through the list to ensure that it's meeting your needs. And once we have that going, we work with you. Even if you have an idea of a place that you want to work with, we can actually start reaching out to those places. And maybe by reaching out, we can get you there.
Awesome.
We also have one more question in the question and answer. This question is from Robert. As an employer, are there funds available to assist with the funding of salaries for student and employees?
Maybe-
I have no idea on my side. That would have to be workforce.
I don't have an exact answer for you, Robert. I can email chat you and we can discuss some of the opportunities that I've heard of, but I don't want to guarantee that there's funds available. However, there are definitely programs available for employers that I'm happy to share with you.
Yes, and I also wanted to add that, of course, if you're looking for someone for as a participant to work, we can do what is called OJT, on the job training, for reimbursement, and we can pay some percentage back to you. So I'm more than happy to work with you and try to provide you that information so that way we can have a connection going.
Great, thank you.
We have another question in our chat box. It says, I don't have a computer or internet. Can one be provided to me?
Yes, for WIOA Youth program, we can provide for training related equipment. It can be a computer. It can be help you pay for internet access. The point of our program is to eliminate those immediate barriers to ensure that you have more opportunities coming up to you.
Nice.
We also have one more question. I have a high school diploma, but haven't gone to college. Can I get assistance for school?
Yes, definitely. The participant does qualify for that tuition assistance. Since you're in the process of moving from a high school recent graduate to into a post-secondary education, WIOA Youth program can provide support for a tuition assistance.
Okay. This other one is, I work with students in the justice system. Are there any criminal offenses or charges that would prevent them from being able to do work experience?
As
I
in
guess-
right now, I don't have any specific. It will be, of course, depending of the agency or place about what's their expectations. But in reality, we can work with the actual person to see what's going on, and maybe one place doesn't work, but maybe we'll find another place that can work for them too.
Thank you.
We have another question in the chat box, and the question is, can you help with child care expenses?
Yes, for WIOA Youth program, we can provide childcare assistance. We try to work around your actual assessment and plan that we have developed, individualized for each participant, but those are part of the supportive services that we can provide.
Great.
We have a question in the chat box. I want to work but do not have a car. Can you help me with that?
For WIOA Youth program, we can provide mileage assistance or bus transportation vouchers. We can try to work around those limitations to ensure that you have a way of getting to your design work experience place.
Okay. This one says, what if I am already working with another youth program? Can I still enroll? I guess that one's kind of open. to any of the services?
Yes, as long as it meets the qualification for the WIOA program, we can go ahead and work with them. It doesn't have to be like just because you're doing CCSS or other program doesn't mean that you don't qualify for WIOA program.
Perfect. Okay, and this one says, do you have to be a LCPS student to participate with ACE?
Yes, yes. For ACE itself, it is a class. So you would need to be a student at one of the high schools, even Arrowhead or Rio Grande Prep. We do take those students. We do offer some other services, our Saturday career days, and we can share those links. And I'm pretty sure Darlene, Miss Lopez, will share those out on her network. The next one will be Market to Rocket interviews. So anybody is available to participate in those, but ACE itself is a class within the school. But I do know that there are other programs. I don't know which ones they are. Maybe Marcos can help out with that one.
For additional programs, we can look around to see what's available. Of course, we try to, that's the reason why we have an assigned caseworker that will be responsible to help you throughout the way to ensure that your basic needs are being met. It doesn't have to be just because you're not a student in a high school, you're not going to receive similar services to those. So we try to work around the 7 counties that we have available to ensure that we're providing you services and referrals and co-enrollments as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, and this one, youth, sorry, I didn't mean to block that. Youth entrepreneurial programs for kids wanting to start their own businesses.
For WIOA program, we do provide that assistance. Even when we try to do work experience, we try to point them up with providers who are willing to teach entrepreneurship skills. Even if it comes to that point, we try to work with what we have available to ensure they're getting those skills.
Great, thank you. Let me see. There's something else in the chat. Okay, oops, this disappeared on me. Okay, are there any restrictions on businesses that are family owned with youth working youth working as staff?
Yes, usually 90% of the time, because we do provide the mentorship component, we try to ensure that it's not someone that it's not familiar to the participant, because we try to prevent any conflict of interest. We try to ensure that we meet the needs of the business as well and the needs of the participant, but we try to work it out around those limitations.
There are different limitations also with family-owned business on the age restrictions for young people working there if they're related. And our labor law team would be happy to discuss that with you if needed.
Great. Let's see. If there are any others. Oh, something. I have to move slowly or else I click the wrong thing. Okay, so will the Why I Work site work for me if I want to move out of New Mexico?
The Why I Work tool is excellent. Now, it is very much focused on the wages and the cost of living here in New Mexico, so it will vary a little bit. There are other tools that are similar to Why I Work that give you national numbers, but again, it's not going to be very specific because it's taking such a broad range. But I encourage you to try the Why I Work, see what it would work for you here in New Mexico, and then you can compare it to the cost of living wherever you plan to live, and it might give you a better idea of what you need.
Great. I have never worked before. How do I build a resume?
As part of the WIOA program, we provide job readiness trainings. We focus them into resume building, interview preparation. We try to ensure that those skills and those experiences that needed to get better opportunities are being provided to the youth.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Okay. Are all services being talked about today available remotely?
Yes, WIOA Youth Program is actually providing services remotely through the 7 counties. We do have an assigned person to each county providing those remotely. Of course, if needed to meet in person for any documentation or additional support, we can go ahead and arrange those services with you to ensure that we're meeting you at one point.
Great, thank you. Let's see, if I begin the WIOA Youth Program here, but then move to Colorado in April, can this program go with me?
It all depends. Of course, there's always limitations to the program because the program it's available through New Mexico. But if it's something that you only visiting for a few months, or even if it's something related to an emergency, we can work around you to make sure we can provide. But if not, we can go ahead and start working with you in a plan to see what additional services are available where you're moving to provide you with a list of available resources.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any registration fees or membership fees for the services mentioned?
No, WIOA Youth Program is completely free. Of course, there's actually talk about the eligibility requirements, but although after that, everything is 100% free. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Awesome. So I live in Canutillo. Do all of these services extend there? I think that's like by Sunland Park, right?
If
kind of
it's
on the
on the
side.
Texas side of it, it won't qualify. It will have to be under either Salem Park, New Mexico, Santa Teresa, La Union, those little places by the end of Doña Ana County. But if it's for Canutillo, Texas, for WIOA program, it won't qualify since it will be considered Texas.
Great. Thank you. Are there any fees associated with the services provided to the employer if they were to take on a youth participant?
Not at all. No fees are charged. It's completely free. We have a really good resource. Our business practitioner provides our orientation about the services, how it will work for work experience, and we do an orientation providing all that information for the employers.
Thank you. If an employer takes on a youth employee, who is responsible for covering liability?
It is actually included within, of course, the New Mexico workforce. It does come with a liability, and we provide those informations on the orientation.
Awesome. Is that different with the work experience or the coordinated work experience with ACE? Or the career team, I should say.
Okay. Say that again. I'm so sorry, but I have another meeting. I just
okay.
turned on another meeting. I have a meeting with Martin Heinrich, so I'm trying to plan my next step. So
Understood.
what was the question? I'm sorry, go for it.
Liability coverage for work experience through the LCPS programs.
So what we've done is we've created some documents, and they've been vetted by our lawyers, and they've been vetted by the state to make sure that the liability is covered. What we have worked with is work-based learning and Ms. Cisneros and her department, and determine what is within your liability within your business, and what needs to be covered on our side as the LCPS. So those two things that's a tricky one, but I think we have some paperwork to kind of cover that, but we can also sit down and talk about that.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that is it.
Okay. Well, I want to remind everyone that you can access more information at employnm.com. And as we move forward beyond our town hall today, this recorded town hall will be available at that website, employnm.com. So with that, we have one more poll question to engage with you. And let me bring that up. Take a few seconds to get it up on your screen. So this question is, what group would you categorize yourself in? Are you a youth, age 14 to 24? Are you a parent? Are you an educator? Are you a workforce partner or other? I'm going to launch that poll now. So we're about 20%, 30% voted in, 40, 50, 60, 70, getting close, 80. Okay, we'll wait a few more moments. Okay, I'm going to end polling now. Share the results. So the results are, to the question, what group would you categorize yourself? 13% responded that they are youth ages 14 to 24. 25% are educators. 50% are with workforce, and 13% are other. And we do not have any parents that are with us on the town hall today. So I want to thank everyone for attending today. I want to thank our panelists, those that work behind the scenes to be able to make the town hall possible and to help prepare for it. And again, if there's anything else that you need to be able to learn more about what we did here today, you can go to employnm.com or follow us on Facebook at EmployNM. Thank you for attending, everybody. Have a great day.